I would like to request. Do you have the UNDP representative in the hall with us? The UNDP representative with us, please. Okay, welcome. In the meantime, I'd like to request us to stand so that we can start with our national prayer, which is our national anthem, and also the East Africa Community anthem, please. PWC representative, I would like to request Madam Mercy Murigi, please, can take the seat on the stage. Madam Mercy Murigi. So let me take this opportunity to welcome each one and every one of us today at the NGOs Week 2024 and the annual sector report launch 2022-2023, with this year's theme being Building Synergy for a Sustainable Future. I would like to recognize Mr. Jenga Meri, who is our chief guest today, Mr. Jenga Miri, Principal Administrative Secretary, Security, who is representing the Principal Secretary for Internal Security and National Administration, Dr. Raymond Omolo. I would like to inform all of us that we are live on our Chief Guest Facebook page. We are also live on the PBO Regulatory Authority YouTube and Facebook page, and we are going to be going live shortly on KTN News. The hashtag to use is hashtag NGOs Week 2024. We've said we want to trend today at #1, and the reason being we want for the public to really see the work that NGOs are doing. We want the public to be able to measure really, because today we are here to showcase and to celebrate the contributions by our NGO sector, our partners, and also the stakeholders at large. And so please tag us at the NGO Board Kenya, retweet, repost, and we're also going to be doing the same. So before I invite Madam Caro, who is going to be giving us a very brief on the NGOs Week, and also some highlights on the NGO sector report that we're going to be launching later today, I would like us to start with just a quote from Stephen R. Covey, and it says, "When mutual understanding and respect are present, the spirit of synergy, inevitable, starts to develop." So when we talk about building synergy, when we talk about partnerships and collaborations, it is important and very key that we all come together partner and collaborate, because that way then the journey together becomes easy, the achievements then are met in a much faster way than when we'll just be doing it as an individual or just as one organization. So let us make sure that as this theme speaks today about building synergy for a sustainable future, that you'll pick something today as we continue with our event that is going to be a highlight for you as an organization and also for you as an individual. At this moment, allow me to welcome Madam Karen Nyambura, who is going to be giving us the highlights of the NGOs Week and also of the Sector Report 2022-2023. Welcome.
Thank you, Patricia. Mr. Jenga Mary, Principal Administrative Secretary, Security, representing the Principal Secretary for Internal Security and National Administration, Dr. Raymond Omolo, the Chairman, Public Benefits Organizations Authority, Honorable Mwambu Mabonga, who is here with us, the Chief Executive Officer, Public Benefit Organizations Regulatory Authority, Mr. Mutuman Kanata, the Board of Directors, Public Benefit Organizations Regulatory Authority, my colleagues, representatives of NGOs, CSOs, and all other non-state actors are present here, our esteemed partners, all protocol observed, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. As the PBO Authority, we are really honored and delighted to host the 7th edition of the annual NGOs Week. And so it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the launch of the NGOs Week 2024 and the annual NGO Sector Report 2022-2023. The NGOs Week is really a special occasion for us at the Authority. It is a premier networking and partnership building event, and it's a very special event in our calendar. And so we are delighted to have all of you here to celebrate and to mark this important occasion with us. We started marking the NGOs Week way back in 2016, and one of the aims that we seek to achieve through the NGOs Week is to promote collaboration, partnership building, networking among NGOs, between NGOs, governments, and the private sector. And the reason why we do this, and in line with our theme for this year, is because we want to amplify and we also want to harness the collective power and synergy with respect to collectively attaining our social economic transformation agenda as well as sustainable development. As my colleague Patricia has mentioned, the NGOs Week 2024 is organized under the theme Building Synergy for a Sustainable Future. We are looking forward to a week long of activities where we are going to be showcasing the role and the impact of NGOs in propelling inclusive, sustainable, and equitable social economic growth and development. But most importantly, as I mentioned, inspiring collective efforts for further growth and development at all levels of achieving the sustainable development goals. So welcome to this celebration. We celebrate remarkable NGOs making significant contributions across various sectors towards the development of this wonderful country called Kenya. The NGO sector is a testament of limitless potential that lies within the sector. And I do hope that as we mark the events of the NGOs Week 2024, we'll be able to showcase this potential that the country needs to tap in order to accelerate development. So really we are celebrating the collective power which we can use to influence and accelerate attainment, as I said earlier, of social economic transformation and sustainable development. As an authority, we are delighted we would not have pulled off the NGOs Week 2024 without the enormous collaborative efforts of our esteemed partners. And the NGOs Week 2024 has remained true to the spirit that underlies the event, the spirit of partnership and collaboration. I would want to recognize among our key partners, we have World Vision, we have Trocare, we have Shofco, we have Compassion International, Action Against Hunger, Christian Blind Mission, Mercy Corps, Good Neighbors, Kenya, and many others. I hope the NGOs Week 2024 inspires all of us to continue reflecting, to continue discussing on how we can collectively build synergy for a sustainable future. Thank you very much, and a very warm welcome to each one, all of you, and we are really honored that you turned up for this event. So now I want to just give a few highlights of the report that we are going to launch today. And as we mentioned earlier, we are here to celebrate, we are here to recognize the critical role that NGOs play in this country in terms of development, in terms of social economic transformation. And I hope the screens are on, and I will try to be as quick as possible. So we are launching the annual sector report for the financial year 2022-2023. And the PBO Regulatory Authority, or formerly NGOs Coordination Board, compiled this report way back in December 2023 as part of our mandate, where we analyze the annual report submitted to us by the NGOs. So what I will be sharing are just the key highlights of that report. So I would want to start off with the chapter or the subject on sector growth and contribution to development. And I would want to start with registration. As a regulator, one of our key mandates is to register NGOs. When we became an authority, we will now be registering public benefit organizations in this country. So during the year and analysis, we registered 94 national NGOs. No, we registered a total of 481 NGOs, and this comprised of 94 national NGOs and 387 international NGOs. I hope I got that correct. And in terms of the report, I mentioned earlier that we normally have the mandate of analyzing the annual reports that you submit to us every year as a compliance issue. And out of these reports, we normally analyze the annual return form. We call it Form 14, which is the form that NGOs use to submit our reports. We also administered a questionnaire to capture some information around the role and the impact of the NGOs during that financial year. And then, of course, we also analyzed the audited accounts submitted by NGOs. Our research team also does quite a lot of back and forth in terms of verifying the data that you give to us through the annual reports. And then, of course, we also seek out information from the registration form, which we call Form 3, the form that you fill when you're registering as an NGO. So having said that, I'd already mentioned about the registration, and probably in summary, in terms of the annual registration summary, I'd indicated that the board registered a total of 481 NGOs in the financial year 2022-2023, and these included 387 national and 94 international NGOs. If you look at the slide that is showing us the trend of registrations over the years, we've had some sporadic trends of registration for the past 10 years, but clearly we can see that we are moving on an upward trajectory. During the year, we had 2,829 NGOs that filed their annual reports with us. And these NGOs reported to have received a total of 196 billion. This translates to a growth of 11.4% from 175.5 billion, which was reported last year. However, it is critical to note that despite the increase in funding between the 2 years, that is this financial year that we are reporting on and last financial year, the sector has continued to record a fluctuating trend over the past decade. So the positive trend has not been consistent. We've had periods where the funding to the sector has fluctuated. In terms of sources of the funds received, the main sources of funds were affiliates of NGOs at 28.8%, followed by foreign government agencies and NGOs, CBOs, foundations and trusts at 26.6% and 24.8%. In terms of the funds received, or the trend of funds received by continent, we had the majority of the funds coming from North America at 45.2%, and then we had Europe contributing 30.6%, while Africa accounted for 21.7% of the funds that were received by the NGOs that submitted their reports to us. In terms of a comparative analysis of the funds received per jurisdiction, you can actually see that the trend indicates continued sector dependency on foreign funding, which raises critical concerns around the issue of sustainability, as well as also taking into consideration that internal sources of funds remain largely untapped. However, it is not all gloom. We see a silver lining, as we see that there has been an increase of fundraising within the country, which increased by 33%. That is 8.48 billion, which offers a glimpse of potential resilience. So that is a challenge to us as a sector to look for ways of tapping into funding that is available within the country. In terms of funds utilization during the year under review, a total of 197.9 billion was spent, and this represents an increase of 7% compared to the previous year's expenditure, which was 185.5 billion. Out of the 197.9 billion, 124 billion went to projects, while 73 billion went to administration costs, and 49.1 billion went to personnel emoluments. In terms again of a demonstration of the funds utilization, we actually are happy as an authority because we see NGOs continuing to demonstrate a commitment to the best practice of 70 to 30 with respect to allocation to project implementation and administration expense respectively. And we make a note that there has been quite a big improvement because then 63% of the total funds that were received were actually expended on projects. So we are on the way towards achieving that best practice of 70 to 30. And we would want to appreciate the sector in terms of making that progress. In terms of funds utilization, our report of course captures the top 50 international NGOs and top 50 national NGOs, and also captures funds utilization per sector. But here I will just present on funds utilization the top 10 sectors, and you can actually see the key sectors that are taking lead, with health at position 1 with a proportion of 33.4%, followed by children, relief and disaster management, and then the multi-sectoral sector, education, environment, water and sanitation, agriculture, youth, and governance. So you can actually see that the NGO sector, as I said earlier, is represented across all sectors and is actually making key contributions to key areas of the economy. In terms of the top 10 national NGOs with respect to utilization of funds, we also have highlighted there the top 10 organizations. We have Center for International Health, Education and Biosecurity Kenya. We have Liverpool BCT Health. We have Rural Agency for Community Development and Assistance, RASIDA. We have Agency for Technical Cooperation and Development, Kenya, that is ACTED Kenya. We have Center for Health Solutions, Kenya. We have Population Services, Kenya, followed by Hope Worldwide, Kenya, Mkomani Clinic Society, based in Mombasa. We have Sight Savers International, that is Royal Commonwealth Society for the Blind, and we have Bible Translation and Literacy. Once we share the annual sector report, you'll be able to see the rest of the NGOs, the top 50. That is a list of the national NGOs. In terms of top 10 international NGOs, we have World Vision taking the lead at number 1. We have AMREF at number 2. Yes, thank you for that. A clap for World Vision. AMREF number 2, Compassion International, who is also one of our key partners for the NGOs Week. We have Give Directly Kenya. We have Worldwide Fund for Nature Kenya. We have Oxfam GB. We have Save the Children International Kenya. Catholic Relief Services. David Shelbrick Wildlife Trust, and Mercy Corps, who is also one of our key partners for the NGOs Week. A clap for those NGOs. Thank you for that. In terms of employment creation, the NGO sector is a big employer in this country, and what we can see on the screen actually demonstrates that. In terms of salaried employees, to start off, the sector during the year reported employment opportunities for 79,350 individuals. And this is a slight increase from last year, where we had 71,096 staff employed by the NGO sector. So we can actually see that there's an increase of 11.6% in terms of employment creation between the last financial year and this financial year. Majority of these employees are actually Kenyans or stationed in Kenya, around 93.6%, while we have a small percentage of 6.4% who work outside the country. When we look at the analysis of the employment structure, it is evident that the NGO sector has a very diverse workforce. When we look at the salaried employees, 52%, that is 41,128, also served as volunteers, and then we have 48% who also served as interns within the country. The salaried category, we had 36,037 who are based in Kenya, and we had 5,091 that were stationed in other countries. As I had also mentioned, the sector also employs expatriates, and the report for this financial year, we had 6,349 expatriates with 4,977 working in Kenya, operating in Kenya, and 1,372 in other countries. I think we can give another round of applause in terms of that. We also did an analysis of the contribution of the sector to the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, which captures the current national development priorities. And as we all know, the better is structured around 5 pillars. We have agricultural transformation, we have micro, small, and medium enterprise economy, we have healthcare, we have housing and settlement, we have the digital, superhighway, and creative industries. And these pillars have had also a substantial impact and linkages to both the overall economy and livelihoods of Kenyans. And we really appreciate, because then by the NGO sector also focusing on the national priorities, then the sector demonstrates that it is a very critical partner in terms of complementing what government is doing and in terms of contributing to the attainment of the priorities that we have set for ourselves as a country. So during the year under review, there was a contribution under the universal health coverage, which was at 36.56 billion. Agriculture was at 5.02 billion. Digital superhighway and creative industry, 3.22 billion. Microfinance, 869 million. Housing and settlement, 119 million. Can we give ourselves a clap for a job well done? I now move to the highlights around sector sustainability. This is also, I mentioned earlier, the challenge that the sector faces in terms of sustainability, more so because of the dependency on foreign funding. So we also analyzed the sustainability, and we normally adopt the USAID Sector CSO Sustainability Index methodology. This methodology is based on 3 interrelated dimensions, that is organizational capacity, financial viability, and collaboration and networking, with various indicators for each dimension. So when we did our analysis, our finding was that the overall sector sustainability index is at 45%, which implies that the sector is still at the evolving stage, and which is also consistent with the previous years. However, we observe that the overall sustainability index decreased from 53% in the year 2021-2022. So that is a challenge to us also as a sector in terms of us reflecting and exploring on ways in which we can improve on our sustainability. And as I mentioned earlier, I think the challenge is on us in terms of looking for ways of tapping into local resources, which largely remain untapped. And the continued partnership between NGOs, government, and the private sector is a testament that we have immense local resources. That is a sector we can tap in and be able to be more sustainable and create more impact into the country. So as I finish, I just want to remind us of some of the conclusions, and based on what I've shared in terms of a summary. So when we look at the sector, we have observed a robust growth trajectory, as indicated with the registration. We did indicate that we had 481 new NGOs that registered during this financial year under review, and I'd also mentioned that we have a cumulative total of 12,643 NGOs in our database, or in our register of NGOs. This underscores the sector's dynamism and continued expansion, and it is actually a demonstration of growth, because then the more NGOs we have, then the more impact that we achieve in terms of achieving the social economic transformation that we are seeking for in sustainable development. Also, another thing to celebrate is that the fact that there was no NGO that was deregistered during that financial year is also another positive indicator, and which also suggests that then there is steadfast commitment within the sector in terms of ensuring that we are upholding the regulatory standards, we are compliant with the regulatory framework, and we are basically contributing to the sector's overall stability. Let us give ourselves a clap for that as well. The continuous growth, as evidenced by the increase in total funds received, which I had highlighted was 196 billion, was actually an increase from the previous year, where then it was reported that then money received was 175.9 billion. I also indicated that most of the funds, or 63% of the funds were actually expended on projects. But it is also notable that most of the funds received by the NGOs was spent in implementing projects in health, children, relief and disaster management at 33%, 11%, 10% respectively. And I'd also mentioned that 77% of the total funds received showcases the sector's dedication to addressing local needs and contributing significantly to the national development agenda. This was in relation to the contribution of the sector to the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. However, I also mentioned that internal funding sources might be our sure bet in terms of ensuring long-term sustainability, because as we have seen with changing donor trends, the dependence on foreign contributions might really be a concern for us as a sector. So I want to reiterate the challenge again. Let us tap into the resources that are available within the country, because these will be a sure bet. Let us also tap into the local agency, and the local agency is demonstrated every day in this country, and Kenyans always rally around. So I'm sure we can tap into that synergy and ensure that then the sector is sustainable and continues making impact in terms of accelerating development of our country. As I also highlighted, we have those which filed returns, and these returns are the basis of, if we remember the numbers that I quoted in terms of the registrations, our register has over 1,829 NGOs submitting their annual returns. It leaves a lot to be desired in terms of compliance. Regulatory regime, we will take the challenge and up our numbers in terms of compliance, because then that's contributing to the development to fostering economic opportunities and enhancing livelihoods. Again, in terms of collaboration, we observed a high level of collaboration and networking amongst NGOs, with 85% of NGOs actively reporting that they are engaging in vibrant networks, in vibrant collaboration, which again enhances the sector's overall effectiveness. As we say, there is power in collaboration and partnerships, because when we work together, then we are able to build synergy and we are able to achieve much more impact. We know NGOs also, apart from contributing directly through the projects, also quite a lot of collaboration and partnership with the national government and the county governments. A key point been implementing a project on the implementation of universal health for NGOs to collaborate with county governments. And we are happy to actually observe that partnership with the government, and both at the national level and the county level, and achieve our goals, our development goals. Recommendations, I will just highlight them. One, we've talked is engage with domestic stakeholders. Enhanced collaboration, we've already noted that the sector is highly working in partnership models and collaborating with each other. And we do feel that this has also enhanced the impact of NGOs. In terms of partnerships, also related to sustainability and local fundraising, I think it's also a high time. I know we have a few NGOs that are working with the private sector, and would want to encourage more of these and the resources that are available from the private sector in terms of building partnership with the sector. And also let us focus more on self-generated income We are happy that with the new regulatory framework, the PBO Act actually engage in income generation for the sustenance and the push of our objectives as NGOs. As we also then continue with this. I also want to reiterate on the issue of transparency and on this note, as a regulator, would want to call upon the sector to really up the game in terms of compliance. And I do hope, as I said earlier, as we move to the new regulatory framework, then we'll be able to demonstrate that the sector is really a transparent sector, an accountable sector, and a compliant sector. Of course, in terms of capacity building, we need to ensure that there's continuous learning, which is really vital for growth and effectiveness. And at this point, I would want to mention that the authority has an organ that undertakes capacity building. We call it the Institute of Charity Management, the ICM. I know many of us in this room have participated in our trainings. And as an authority, we will continue with those trainings, which seek to really NGOs, particularly with respect to compliance, with respect to action. So let's continue learning. Learning is we can also continue ensuring the growth that we are experiencing and the effect. I would want to say that we need to continue strengthening ties and working in a collaborative approach to addressing the challenges that affect our. Once again, karibuni to the NGOs Week. We have activities running for the entire week, and I'm sure behind your programs, we have highlighted the entire program for the week. Feel welcome. Tomorrow we have another physical meeting here that is focusing on accountability, transparency, and integrity of the sector, hosted by World Vision. And I wish to welcome all of you to join us tomorrow. With those many remarks, thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Carol, for sharing the highlights from the annual NGO sector report. I'd like to appreciate yourself. These numbers are your contributions. Sinikweli, we know contribution of the work that you do is not measurable, and we know numbers don't lie. So whatever we've seen here is a contribution that you get to bring to the sector and also at large in contributing towards the economic of this country. So at this juncture, I would like to remind us that we are live on KTN News. We are also live on the Facebook page of the Principal Secretary for Internal Security Administration, Dr. Raymond Omolo, and we are also live on the PB and YouTube page. This time I would like to welcome our stakeholders to give their remarks, and I would like us to start with the National Director of Vision, Mr. Gilbert Kamanga. Welcome, sir.
Good morning. Is it morning or is it afternoon? Or is it morning? I'm okay. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you, Caroline, for that wonderful presentation of the report. When PS Administrative for Internal Security, PBORA, in short form, PBORA, to recognize members of the diplomatic corps who are here. I want to also recognize I also want to recognize our Director General for PBORA, Mr. Nkanata. I want to recognize the private sector who are here, the media, our religious leaders who are here. I want to say, recognize you as well, and ourselves, the PBOs. as we are called this time round, this is our week. So I want to organize each one of us in our capacities who are here, because NGO week is our week. I feel you clap hands for yourself. But also I want to organize the different community members who are also gathered here, whom we work with in different capacities, but also those who are not here, whom we stand for. I want to organize them as well. And also, I want to say all protocols observed for those who have not mentioned some deliberate, but we all recognize your presence this morning. It is an honor for me to join together today on this beautiful day, commencing our NGO week, just a few days past on the Day of the African Child, where the children are saying that in Kenya they want education, but they want it now. Because education cannot wait. Other things can wait, but education cannot wait for many people. So for me, it's an honor to be here. For the few minutes I have, I just want to amplify our theme for this week. That of building synergy for a sustainable future. World Vision, just like many other organizations, know there's some who have been here longer than World Vision in Kenya, but we're celebrating 50 years here in Kenya. And one thing we have learned over those years is that synergy does not just happen like that. It requires commitment. It requires sacrifice. Our knowledge over these years has taught us that synergy is not just working together. It is having the ability to generate something bigger than the participating parts. And others would say that it means 1 + 1 is equal to more than 2. Because if it is just 2, then you're just working together, you're not generating synergy. So for us at World Vision, which I think many of people here, we're in a journey to ensure that we achieve synergy. And what a fantastic theme for this week. To look at how do we together come up with something bigger than ourselves. To do this, ladies and gentlemen, requires us to be deliberate. Deliberate to move beyond our comfort zone, beyond our own appreciation of our own internal capacities, but by identifying those whom are not like us. So together we should achieve what is bigger before us. One member whom I interacted with, one of the governors actually, said poverty brings its friends. So as the PBO members, we are fighting poverty, which does not just come along. It brings its own friends. And therefore it requires us to work together. This means, therefore, we need to prioritize what the community wants to be done. It requires us to prioritize the working together. If I want to amplify one of the things I've seen from the report is what World Vision stands for, is that of accountability and stewardship of our resources. Bwana Chair, but also Bwana Administrative Secretary of the DG, we celebrate the enacting of our PBO Act, and we're looking forward that things will be better, even much better for the civil society organization in Kenya. But at the same time, we commit that we will also be accountable. Because the element of self-regulating requires us to be accountable. So that we do not just hold the government accountable, but we are also accountable ourselves, but also accountable to those whom we serve. And that's why tomorrow we want together to come and reflect together. What does it mean to be accountable? What can we do together in Kenya to make sure that we are accountable? In the last 3 years, World Vision has spent over 34 billion shillings in this country, in different sectors of our work, all of the sectors which the report articulates. But we see that poverty still fights hard. And that's why we need to work together. As I conclude for now, I want to say that just providing clean water now is not enough for our children. It needs to be sustainable. I mean any other, and that's why synergy for Sustainable Future becomes very critical. Just having a child in school today is not enough. Will generations to come have access to the same education? So let us work together so that children in this country are protected, that they become better citizens. I alluded not long so ago that today most children are not in school, not just because the parents cannot afford, but because there is not good parenting. How can we work together to ensure that every parent become interested in the education of the child? So, Banamili, who is sitting in for our Cabinet Secretary, I want to pass on the message that we appreciate what the government of Kenya, both the national and the county governments, are doing with us together. Our desire is that there shall be increased space of activity for the civil society to act, but also that they shall benefit from the new law which has been enacted, and that together we shall invest in the future for our children. Thank you so much, and may God bless us all.
Powerful remarks there by the National Director of World Vision, Mr. Gilbert Kamanga. Thank you very much. I would like to remind us, those who are joining us, we are live on KTN News. The hashtag for the day is #NGOs Week. And at this point, I would like to invite Mr. Joseph Hamisi, who is the General Counsel for SHOFCO. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Our chief guest, the chair of the BBO Regulatory Authority, the Director General of the authority, and the entire board of the authority. It is really an honor to be here with you on this special occasion, which is the launch of the 2022-2023 NGO sector report and the NGOs Week of 2024. Allow me please to look at the theme in two ways. There are two keywords that I take from the theme of this NGOs Week. Number one, synergy. And my colleague from World Vision has just talked about that. We all need to do more in partnership at all levels, government, national and county, civil society actors, NGOs, and individuals to bring better development to our country. And also a sustainable future. That to me speaks to sustainable development that can continue and not just be there with us for a short while. In the short time that I have, I understand that we need to keep the program going. I would just like to highlight a few things that we do at SHOFCO to touch on sustainability and synergy. Very quickly, what is SHOFCO? Shining Hope for Communities is an NGO which is celebrating its 20th year of existence this year. My colleague has done 50 years, but we are doing 20, and we are very proud of that. All of this, all the development that we have seen over the last 20 years has not been done by SHOFCO on its own, but by the communities that we work with, the partners that we have, and the synergy that we are talking about. So as a leading community-based organization, we do mobilize communities to bring results. And what does that mean? Let me look at some of our core themes very quickly. Localization. We want to bring everything down to local leaders in local communities so that they are empowered to drive their agenda, their development needs, as unique as they are, wherever they are, and we empower them, listen to them, and put them at the front of everything that we do. Partnerships, again speaking to the synergy that we have discussed here under our theme. Encouraging peace and unity. We all need a stable environment, and that is the only way that we can have development that is sustainable, when everybody at their personal level, at the community level, is working together with each other in peace and harmony. And another key core focus area for SHOFCO is climate action. A lot is said about climate action internationally and at very big international forums, but we want to bring this down to the ground for the communities that are suffering the most. And I will refer to the recent floods that we saw in Kenya. Those at the bottom, the grassroots, are the ones that suffer from climate change, which is caused by people who are not at that level. And so we do our best to push the climate action agenda as well, so that we can move away from such things as water scarcity, food insecurity, and health issues that come with the climate action problem. So we do have several interventions, and I will not speak to all of them. I would like to invite all of you, our chief guests and everyone here, to visit our exhibition booth, which is out at the pavilion. We do have interventions in a lot of the, if not all, of the top 10 sectors that were mentioned here by Caroline as she presented the report. We have interventions in sustainable livelihoods, financial services through our SACCO, health through our clinics and community health promoters, education through our schools and our future education program, water, sanitation and hygiene, which includes our innovative distribution of water in Kibera and other areas through aerial pipes. And I invite you to join us at our booth or to visit us in Kibera to see this aerial piping and distribution of water, which is really touching lives out there. Our gender and inclusion program has a focus on rescuing and supporting survivors of sexual and gender-based violence across the country. And we do have our libraries, which also help the communities and children who need a place to study. And finally, our SHOFCO Urban Network. I do see some of our members here. That is our driver, our community outreach program, membership-based, and through which we listen to the communities that we serve. As I conclude, I want to touch on very quickly the sustainable future element of our theme. And I think there's no better way to point out that we can do it in synergy and come up with solutions which are led by the grassroots and which can last for a long time, even beyond our lifetimes. There's no better way to highlight that we can do it together by just showing the numbers that our impact in 2023 as SHOFCO, together with our partners, together with everyone here and the communities that we serve, has achieved. In 2023, SHOFCO was able to have a membership in its SUN, SHOFCO Urban Network, of 1.5 million members. In the same year, we took 8,070 youth, 8,070, to various TVETs across the country and had them trained in job skills. We also managed to place slum residents in jobs and internships, and the number there is 3,205. 549 small businesses were launched through our financial services intervention. In our primary healthcare clinics, we had 46,323 visits. 580 girls educated through our education program with an average of B+ in KCPE. That's a really good figure there, and we're very proud to share that. Our water, sanitation, and hygiene program had 37,541 people accessing safe and clean water daily. We supported 10,229 sexual and gender-based violence cases across the country. We had 4,497 youth mental health ambassadors trained, and to finish up, we had 257,339 users of our libraries just in 1 year. And that's just one small organization called Shofco that started from a dream and a soccer ball. We actually have a mock of the soccer ball at our exhibition booth, and I welcome you to see that. So I conclude by encouraging all of us as actors in this space to work together for the synergy and the sustainable development that will last, which we all can achieve, as I have just demonstrated by the few numbers that only one organization has been able to demonstrate. Thank you all, thank you Chief Guest, and we look forward to hosting you at our exhibition booth. Karibuni sana.
My key take from those remarks is we can do it all together. So I hope that that is a challenge that we're all going to take after this. I would like to now welcome Compassion International Kenya National Director, Mr. Mr. Samuel Wambugu, to give his remarks.
Thank you very much. Our chief guest, Chair of PB Public Benefits Organization Regulatory Authority, Mr. Mabonga, Honorable Mabonga, Executive Director, PBO Regulatory Authority, Mr. Mutuma, all invited guests, members of the CSO, good afternoon. So my name is Samuel Wambugu, and I'm grateful for this day. I want to thank God. But allow me to first of all acknowledge the PBO Regulatory Authority, just acknowledging the cordial relationship that we continue to have, and also the support that we continue to see. I also want to appreciate that they've done a good job in organizing this NGO Week 2024. Indeed, it is a true mark of collaboration with the government, and we are very grateful. Again, to just expound on the theme of the NGO Week 2024, I'd like to talk about synergy a bit. And indeed, synergy is critical because in the work that we are all engaged in, we need all the hands on deck. It is work that requires all of us to pull together and to row in the same direction. So I represent Compassion International, and I did not come alone. I have a team that is also at the exhibition desk, and I would like to invite all of you to just visit our booth. But I'm also flanked by one of our senior leaders here. She's called Lynette. For purposes of accountability, I had to come with someone to prove that I was here. So, to take some photos. And hopefully I'll get an opportunity to take a photo with the PS Internal Security. Yes, thank you very much. So, Compassion is a Christian organization, a public benefits organization that is Christ-centered, that is church-driven, and it is child-focused. Our program delivery entails serving the poorest of the poor, children and youth, with intervention that target the whole person in terms of their physical, their social, their economic and spiritual needs, what we call holistic child development. It's a global organization, and we have presence in over 41 countries in terms of both fundraising and also program delivery. So speaking of synergy, the program interventions are carried in partnership with our anchor partners. As I mentioned, we are a Christian-based organization. And our anchor partners is the church, who are actually at the front line of the work that we do. Naturally, also, our other key stakeholders, key partners are, we consider them very invaluable partners, are the government and government agencies and departments, the judiciary, the police, and other CSOs. So Compassion has been in existence for the last 44 years. So next year we'll be doing 45 years, and we thank God for the milestones and the work of serving the needy and the vulnerable in the community is concerned. So far we have presence in 31 counties out of 47, and we are currently ministering to over 138,000 children and youth, and those are the direct beneficiaries. However, we know that these children come from homes, and from statistics we know in Kenya, all families, every family, every household has about 5 people. So if you do the math, it will land you somewhere around 700,000 beneficiaries who are program beneficiaries of Compassion International work. Our program is also long-term because we register the program beneficiaries, who we call participants, because they are active contributors of their own development. We start from 0 years, that is from the time a child, even before the child is born, up to 22 years. So it's pretty long term, and over these years, we've had over 15,000 graduates who have passed through our program, and some are serving in government in very high places, names withheld. So we want to believe that we have continued to release children from poverty in Jesus' name. And our interventions, I'll just highlight them very quickly. We are big in the area of child protection and safeguarding, and our strategy is both prevention and response. Then we're also in the area of health interventions, basically in areas of treatment and rehabilitation, prevention, treatment and rehabilitation, education, we're in food security, family economic empowerment, housing, shelter, disaster response, and water projects. So if you forget everything I've said, we minister to the whole person, holistic child and youth development. So we embrace a developmental approach for sustainability, both for our anchor partners, but also for the program beneficiaries. So you'll be able to see that we actually align very well with the government pillars, the BETA and the SDGs, in the area of infrastructure, housing, food security, economic empowerment, health, and all of that. So for all of this, we are grateful to God for the selfless help of the supporters and the other stakeholders who all together have enabled us to push over 6.3 billion annually. I think that's I need to make a correction. I said 2.3 billion, but it's actually 6.3 billion, which we did last year.
Was stood here so far, collaboration, partnership, working together. So take notes. We're going to do some homework as we can get to the end of this. I would now like to welcome Madam Mercy Muridi, Government and Public Sector Consulting Manager at PwC. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll say all protocols observed. I think we've had a lot from the partners here. I'm quite privileged to be here. I know a big chunk of people in the room are from the non-profit side of things. So to be here as a private sector player, I'm quite privileged. You guys are doing an amazing job. It's quite an interesting time in this, well, in the world, but in Kenya specifically. We've had a very difficult couple of weeks with the floods. Prior to that, we had the drought, we had COVID, we had locusts. Everybody is talking about how to engage the youth meaningfully. The There's a lot of conversation around the finance bill. There's so much going on, but there's so much work that all of you are doing, and I'm very privileged to be in this room with you. I like that we're here. I think sometimes you're busy doing the work. You're busy doing to take time to reflect, to look back, to take stock, to network, to laugh, to dance. It was so nice seeing everybody dancing. Themselves to go dance, especially people who sit at the front. They're usually, encouraged to dance. Today, everybody was happy to dance, and I hope we can continue doing things in that way. Is to just come together, do things together. We have so much we can learn from each other, and that's why we're in the room. I'm from PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers. Working.
And as we move forward as a sector now, the PPO sector, we shall do our best to make sure that we provide the services much required of us. We will continue because now the sector is much more opened. The sector has more opportunities through the new act, and we also work with other stakeholders, the private sector, the media, and all other players to make sure that we implement the act to the letter. Someone might be asking, what is this federation? This is just the recently National Council of NGOs. When the law came in place, it transited into a federation. Now this is the new house for every PPO. Only that we have to reach out to you, we have to talk well, we have to make sure that you are part of the house. So I call on our big brothers, those who have resources, let us nudge at this PEPI. Let us make sure that the PEPI has proper structures all the way from national to the grassroots so that we have proper representation. We are a democratic nation. We don't force people to be part of us, but we use the best language to make sure that you are part of us. And we will also offer services, just like what we do in the PPO sector or NGO sector, and this is to make sure that everyone feels what we do. We are planning a number of activities and events, like for example, we are updating our rules and regulations. The rules that we have had was for that 1990, that is why sometimes we have had challenges in the sector. At some point we have been told, you have had Cheboy, so many factions, what are you doing to bring them together? I want to assure the House that we have been having a very good discussion so that we don't have factions moving forward. And anybody talking of factions is actually our enemy by extension. You talk of functions that are not there. You talk of splinter groups that are not there. So we are one united federation. If there is anybody who has maybe just a different opinion, we will talk until we agree, because this is our house. Are we all together? Yes. So that at least someone should not say, oh, mlikuwa na nini? Hapana, hiyo tulimaliza na tunaendelea kuhakikisha tumeleta kila mtu pamoja. Tukiendelea, nataka nishukuru. I want to really appreciate the authority through the chair, Mheshimiwa Mwambu. Thank you for your leadership. You have been so supportive every time I bring a discussion. At least the board supports. Edie, thank you so much. Now the Director General Mutuman Gananda, you have been so supportive to the sector through, and also the federation specifically. And the board members, thank you so much. The board members who have been so supportive every time we table a report, it is passed so that the members of the federation can appreciate and also implement. As I go towards concluding, the PPO members, I have no mind to say. I'm so humble for the good work we are doing. Anything that child, planning that you that somebody suffering in the hospital, anything that women, that youth, can we clap for ourselves? We really appreciate our PPOs, continue doing that. Represented here by PricewaterhouseCoopers and others, please use the intergovernmental agencies, those agencies that provide financial resources. I will not make we have seen that many of our resources have been coming from external sources. I think we need them so that also we can have local sources. so that we can increase on the local funding. I want to leave here by thanking everybody. We'll make sure that, Chair, it has been a promise that even as we move on, in terms of accountability, we will not have those discussions fighting with our members. We will talk internally to make sure that you don't rub shoulders with the government. How do you do that? Find your annual returns. Make sure that you are in good books of government. But just like for those who are registered with KRA PIN, for you not to have a problem with KRA, find for you not to have a problem with the authority, find your annual returns, whether you received any money or not. This year I didn't get anything, this is my need returns. If you received some small money and there, please file it so that you don't have a problem. We have a listening authority and the federation will be there to work with you all the time. Thank you and may God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen Cheboy. I would like us to specially appreciate them for the remarks and also appreciate them for taking the time to be here. Please, a round of applause for every stakeholder. Thank you very much. The hashtag is NGOs Week 2024. Let us trend at number 1. We are now moving to get to hear from our key speakers of the day. And before we get to that section, I'd like to say, this is a quote by Dinesh Paliwal. He says, "Collaboration is a key part of the success of any organization, executed through a clearly defined vision and mission that based on transparency and constant communication." Let that be our challenge today. I've seen your communication materials. I have seen transparency being part of your visions, part of your missions. So let us take it as a challenge as we collaborate to achieve literally all that we want to see for this country and for this community, that we are all coming together and working to see fully implementation and fully success of all those activities. At this juncture, allow me to welcome Mr. Mutuma Nkanata, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Public Benefits Organizations Regulatory Authority. Makofi tafadhali.
Thank you very much, Patricia, for doing a wonderful job. May I disclose to this group that we had an MC, an official MC was supposed to come for this event, but because we changed the event from Monday to today, that official MC did not come, but I think that official MC could not have done better than Patricia. Let's clap for her. We are truly grateful. The PS for Interior, represented by my friend Jenga Miri, the chairman of the authority, PBO authority, Honorable Mabonga, members of the board, members of the diplomatic corps, reps of various UN bodies and private sector representation, my colleagues at the board, all protocols observed. Good afternoon. I welcome you all to the launch of the NGO Week 2024 edition and the NGO Sector Report for 2022-2023 financial year. Platform for public benefit organizations to share their experiences and learn good practices from each other. Create partnership with government, the private sector, and development partners. During the week, we shall have PBOs and private seminars on pertinent issues about the PBO sector across the country and here in Nairobi. The theme of this year's NGO Week is Building Synergy for a Sustainable Future. It is a theme that aptly reflects the role of collaboration in driving sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, PBOs have played a significant role in supporting many people in need of charitable help. As indicated in the report that we have just presented, the sector received over 186 billion for projects compassion that there is growth, and I think that we are recovering from the effects of COVID-19. Hired a total of 79,350 this financial year compared to 74,259 the previous financial year. And of course, as we have been shown, we have registered more than 4 inter-one organizations compared to the ones that we registered, which were lesser the previous year. As the authority that registers PBOs and regulates the sector, our role is to facilitate the sector to effectively play its role. The authority has continued to be innovative and to automate its services to better serve the PBOs. We have continuously reviewed our service infrastructure to meet the needs of the sector and rolled out various capacity building programs to improve sector effectiveness. And I think at this particular point, I will really request that you continue participating in our ICM trainings in view of the fact that we have a new law. We are coming up with a new curriculum so that you can be able to induct the top leadership of the NGOs, including the board members, on the new regulations. During the last year's NGOs week, our Principal Secretary, Dr. Raymond Moro, promised the nation that the government is committed to operationalize the PBO Act. Last month, while the President was addressing CSOs in Gilgiri, he promised the conference and the nation that the Act will be operationalized. And the same day, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior did gazette the commencement date of the PBO Act, and the commencement date was supposed to be 14th May 2024. When Jenga Biri, we want to request you to pass our most sincere regards to our Principal Secretary, because during the last year, NGO week, he promised this gathering in this particular hall that the Act will be operationalized, and it has been operationalized. Let's clap for our peers. Pass our sincere gratitude. The operationalization of the PBO Act, for which we thank the government, will go a long way in enhancing the effectiveness of the sector. This is because the Act provides a framework for enhancing accountability, transparency, as well as robust regulation of the sector. The authority will work closely with those key stakeholders in the implementation of the Act. As you are aware, we have to develop new regulations, and we have already started the process, and we will be calling upon you to participate in that process and the implementation of the Act. Pursuant to the authority's policy guidelines law, we normally continue to publish our annual NGO sector report and provide guidance to PBOs on Kenya's National Development Plan, including aligning the programs to the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. In fact, the report that was launched today, we have a section dedicated to the BETTER program. May I now take this opportunity to thank all our key partners for supporting this year's NGO week. Indeed, you have gone out of your way, and you have really committed resources that has made it possible for us to have this particular NGO week. I may not mention all of you, but we are very grateful to the organizations that have been able to support us. I also wish to thank UNDP, though in absentia, because they have always supported us in terms of our programs for the last couple of years, and they have held our hand even where the resources are limited. And we hope as we implement the PBO Act, we will work together to ensure that we come up with proper regulations. There is smooth transition, because the Act provides that within 1 year, all NGOs are supposed to transit to the new regime. Therefore, you will be required to register afresh. And for those who are not compliant, within that 1 year, the system will kick you out. So you have no option other than to comply and to register within that particular 1 year. I wish to express my sincere gratitude to the board of the authority for the continuous support of the management. It could not have been possible for us to organize these events for the last couple of years without the support of the board. I'm extremely grateful to my colleagues at the board who have worked tirelessly to ensure that there is smooth NGO week. You have gone out of your way, and I want to sincerely thank the team that has really worked hard to ensure that this one happens. I want to thank you all for participating in the NGOs Week 2024 in one way or another, and we look forward towards more events, more partnership, more collaboration. And I want to thank those who have come. I can see my friend Erastus at Crow and Erastus. I know you are not initially informed about this event, but you have always supported us for many years. Thank you very much, and may I take this opportunity to welcome the Chairman of the Authority, Honorable Maboga, to come and make his remarks. Karibu, Chairman.
Asante sana wa CEO and the Director General of the PPO Regulatory Authority. Our chief guest today, Mr. Njenga Mir, the Principal Administrative Secretary, Internal Security, who is standing in for the PS, Dr. Raymond Omolo, our Director General, invited guests who are our stakeholders, the directors of the board or the authority, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I thought you should be happy. Good afternoon. I have seen here we are celebrating. People who celebrate, they are happy. Yeah? So we need to be happy and rejoice in the achievements that we've had for the last 1 year when you converged here. Chief guest, allow me to acknowledge the presence of the directors of the authority who are here with us. I think all of them, maybe one who had an apology is not here. I would kindly request the directors who are present just to stand up. In the interest of time, those are our directors, and I'm sure some of them you've interacted with them in different forums, and have been very supportive in the programs of to be in this space of public benefit authority at this time. I've been looking at our theme this year, trying to highlight the two words. They engage me, some of them, and I forward to the management to look into them. But when we are talking of building synergy, I'm reminded of a musician, an American, who said that excellence is a product of synergy. To the audience, you must put all the sounds together, the soprano, but your music is appealing. So when we are talking of synergy, when we are talking of so far we are on the right track, we need to synergize. I was actually approached by one of which I don't want to mention, and they were telling me they wanted to do some work in Kitui. Synergize, we're just like hands, we're just like our legs. We support each other so that today when you're in front, tomorrow another person will be in front. So we want to appreciate you partners for the great work you've been doing in this country. Sustainability, it's not a destination. It's a journey. We must, all of us, work towards that journey. So it's my great honor for me not only to participate for the first time in this NGO week, but also having had opportunity to oversee the preparation in my capacity as the chair of the PPO Regulatory Authority. I thank the authority management and the staff for organizing this event, which is quite successful. I have seen people traveled from upcountry to be here. But my appeal is that next time, we should organize in a way that we have failed in every county. Because looking at the records, we have actually organization, NGOs operating almost in every village. So when we'll be talking of an NGO week, we want our chief guest, the next time is not just Nairobi alone. We want to be felt on the ground. And that is actually the spirit of devolved governance. That is it. I also thank the NGO Week 2024 partners, as well as for supporting the event and their active participation in preparation. I'm well informed that PPOs such as World Vision, Shining Hope and Communities, SHAFCO, Action Against Hunger, Compassion International, who invited me to have a courtesy call in their offices, Christian Blind Mission, Kenya Good Neighbors, I've also interacted with them, and many others who have not been maybe mentioned, but I'm sure my DG was able to mention quite a number of you. We want to appreciate you for the wonderful job that you've done to make this an event a success. Our chief guest, the week is an annual forum in which we honor and appreciate the PPO for the wonderful job they're doing in support for the needy, vulnerable in our communities. And you understand there are quite a number. We are therefore gathered here for the whole week to celebrate success, stories, and sector, including their role in complementing what the government is doing in the matters of development. I have interacted, as I said, with quite a number of few organizations in the course of last month, partly last year when I was appointed, for the period I've been in the office. And I can assure you, our chief guest, these organizations have proved to be dependable, frontline partners of government on all matters, especially when it comes to the government plan. So we are here to provide a conducive environment to ensure that they achieve what they have planned to achieve in their respective organization. Chief guest, just before I finalize my remarks, I've been thinking so loud, and since among our partners, some of them we may share faith, allow me to just say this, because most of you are dealing with the vulnerables. There is a question that was posed by one of the legal minds of the days during the days of Jesus Christ. And that legal professional asked Jesus two questions. Number one, what can I do so that I inherit the kingdom of God? And then the second question was, after Jesus responding on what he's supposed to do, the second question was, who is my neighbor? And it's actually written in the book of Luke, chapter, I think, 10, verse 29 through 37. And then I want to focus on the second response, because Jesus responded with a proverb or a parable. And he said there was a man walking from Jerusalem to Jericho. And along the way, he was attacked and left almost to a point of death. And the priest passed by. He could not approach the man who was bleeding. And he was late, I think, for the service, so he left. Then the next person was a Levite. A Levite, those who are scholars, I can call them professionals. And we all have different background of professionals seated here. So the professionals and the helper of a priest equally say, my boss has already left. The person who is bleeding. So he equally left. And there were men, apparently there was no lady, and ladies probably would have done a better job. Can you appreciate the ladies in the house? And then the last person, they are not mentioned by names, but when you read the original version, it indicates that they were men. So the last person was a good Samaritan. The good Samaritan looked at the bleeding man, bandaged him, took him to a place for treatment, and left some cash. And also the conduct. The promise that if you have anything that you need from me, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Chief guest, who is your neighbor? That is the question. These people are dealing with neighbors. Who is the neighbor to this suffering child? World Vision, I want to appreciate you that we have so many children who are died outside there. Be the neighbor to our children. Believe me, you be our neighbor to our crying children. If you've traveled around this country, around the continent, you will imagine why these children were born to suffer. Be a neighbor to that person, woman, a vulnerable man in the village who is suffering. People have no meal, not even the first meal, not the second meal, not the third meal. As some of you, or some people, are throwing the same to the dustbin. And you ask yourself, why? Who is the neighbor to those kind of women, to those kind of men suffering? We have people in the society with terminal illness. You don't have to for transport. That is the reality of neighbor. And as I just bring you to that kind of conversation within yourself, as you do an introspection of what you're doing because you're in that space, our chief guest, my team and I, we are prepared to ensure that we implement the law that the president promised during campaigns. And he said it will be his responsibility to ensure that the law is operationalized. And today we sit here, and the PS was here last year. I talked to him, I talked to the CS. They gave me the same assurance. We are here to celebrate that. My appeal is this, and at times we have actually hindrance whenever we have quite good laws, but how to operationalize them and achieve the intended purpose is where the challenge is. I want to appreciate UNDP. We was actually supported. We had a retreat as the board and the management, sometimes I think a couple of weeks in Naivasha, and we agreed that we are going to come up with an ad hoc transition committee that will involve the board, the management, and the stakeholders. And none of you is going to be left out. There is goodwill from the government. There is goodwill from us here on behalf of the government. And I believe this is your baby. There is goodwill from your end. There are issues, of course, that PS on behalf of the government pointed out when we were with him that needs maybe to be relooked into. But that should not be the stoppage for us to achieve what the law intended. So we are making that commitment where I sit as the board chair and my directors and the management to give you conducive environment to ensure that you achieve the goal. Last but not least, I want just to point out something very serious, that we have 12,000 plus registered organizations, NGO, now the PPO's organization, 12,000. What comes in your mind that we only receive less than 3,000, 2,000 plus report on when it comes to compliance? Who are these? Are you among the 2,000 or are you among the rest who have not complied? And these new regulations, I think because you are the people who developed the guidelines, will assist us to deal with those foxes that are spoiling these sectors. Because now, at the end of the day, we will need you to re-register, see what you're doing, understand. We are not trying to coerce you. We are saying be fair. Human beings have their limitations, and that is why you need. Where I sit, I have also a person who checks what I'm doing. And I like what the organizations, Bwana Chief Guest, most of them who are here, they said, I had to ensure that I come with my colleague to ensure that I am here, and actually what was promised or what we've given to the function is well utilized. That is all we need. This country, not only in the public sector, including the private, including in the NGO, the problem we have is transparent and accountability. And this law provides extensive legal framework of transparency and accountability. That is all we need. An organization, if you are running an organization where you are a CEO, maybe your relative is a corporation secretary, maybe the board directors are your brothers and sisters, I don't know who your neighbor is. These are the things. Don't wait for an angel to solve these problems that we have in this country. We must take it and solve the problems that are affecting the nation. We must deal with corruption. We must deal with tribalism so that we salvage the nation. Don't say you are the children of this country. You are the parents of this country, and you are the custodian of the next generation. We don't need to pour on the next generation what they're supposed to do. We need to have more, because they say synergy is a bonus, is a dividend. Once we synergize, because you'll be able to correct the evil I'm doing, and you'll also be able to assist me to do much better than what I've done before. So thank you very much, our key partners, for the good work that you're doing. Go out there. I can see quite a number of you here. Quite a number, but they are not thousands, because we need to have 12,000 here. But these ones are not 12,000. But since in any competition we have number 1, we have number 2, we have number 3. I think they listed here the top 10. Then on maybe here we have the top 50. Go out and serve that neighbor. Even if you are not a Christian, I think the parable appeals to you. Many people in the world, they are bleeding. Reach out to them. Reach out to those neighbors, and you shall be blessed. It's my honor and my great privilege to invite our chief guest, Mr. Jenga, to address the gathering on behalf of our peers. Thank you. And sharing with our chief guest this morning is a man with vast experience, which we will share with you. And he says this is where he believes he's at home. So I want to believe that you will open up more and share your experience and tell us more about what the government is doing for us, because I know you have good for us. Inside here, maybe your transport back home. I know that is on a light note. Thank you.
Thank you. How are you, neighbors? Yes, thank you very much. Good afternoon once again. Yes, as you've been told, my name is Njenga Miri. I'm the Principal Administrative Secretary for Internal Security, representing the PS, Internal Security and National Administration, in the Ministry of Interior and National Administration. And of course, this is where you guys, you fall. I hope you know your ministry. Yeah, you fall under us, so you are part of us. So I'm talking to my neighbors, because we're in the same ministry. I was sharing with the board just before we came here that I feel very much at home with you. My background is an administrator. I've been a DO, a DC, a CC, that is County Commissioner, Secretary, and now Principal Administrative Secretary, holding the docket of Internal Security. And therefore, I know some of you, we have even interacted out there in the field. I know some of you can see me and you say that, yes, I know. I can see guys there. And I know we have achieved a lot with you. So that's why I feel so much at home. So maybe allow me to read my boss's speech so that I don't get derailed in the neighborhood and I get lost there. So the chairperson, Public Benefit Organizations Regulatory Authority, Honorable Mwambu Mabonga, members of the board of the authority, executive director, Mr. Mutuma Kanata, members of the diplomatic corps who are here, PBOs and development partners, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am genuinely delighted to address this distinguished gathering today. Thank you. And it's such an honor to preside over the launch of the NGOs Week 2024 and the annual NGO Sector Report 2022-2023. Last year, precisely on June 5, 2023, I presided over the launch of the NGOs Week 2023 here at KICC, and I recall calling on non-state actors not only to leverage on their areas of expertise to support communities in need, but also complement government on its development agenda. I am therefore proud to be associated with the theme of this year's week, building synergy for a sustainable future. This theme is a rallying call on all non-profits operated for charitable purposes to work together with the stakeholders, including the government, to create more impact in the society. NGOs that form part of the public benefit organization sector have long been recognized as crucial actors in driving sustainable development and working at the forefront to address pressing societal challenges. As the ministry in charge of managing NGO affairs, we acknowledge the important role you play in powering the wheels of progress and appreciate you as catalysts for change, advocating for social justice, championing human rights, and uplifting to the positive change in our country. It is encouraging to note that 2,829 registered NGOs, which complied with filing their annual returns, spent 197.9 billion Kenya shillings on projects during the 2022-2023 financial year, as detailed in the annual NGO sector report. This represents a shillings 12.4 billion increase from the previous financial year, highlighting growing strength of the partnership between the government and NGOs. These funds were allocated to various sectors, including health, education, welfare, agriculture, and water and sanitation, among others. I am also aware of the active participation by NGOs in mitigating against the effects of climate change, as well as in disaster response. Through coordination with our national government administrative officers, the NGOs, and in response to the recent floods in our country, NGOs have played a vital role in supporting government efforts to alleviate the crisis. Various local and international NGOs have been actively involved in providing emergency relief, including food, clean water, medical supplies, hygiene kits, educational materials, and temporary shelter to the affected communities. However, it is concerning that many NGOs fail to meet their obligations regarding the filing of returns and compilation of reports with the government. Despite having over 10,000 active NGOs, the actual contribution of this sector to the economy remains unclear due to these reporting deficiencies. I hereby direct the PBO authority to take firm action against the non-compliant PBOs as per the law, including registering those that have not filed their reports for long. The government has a crucial responsibility of providing an enabling environment for the non-state actors to operate effectively and enjoy the civic rights and freedoms guaranteed by our Constitution. We are alive to the fact that non-state actors can do more for the benefit of the nation when the atmosphere they operate in is conducive. It is for this reason that His Excellency the President, William Ruto, directed that PBO Act 2013 be operationalized, paving the way for the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, Professor Kithure Kindiki, to declare the commencement date of May 14, 2024 in the Kenya Gazette. The operationalization of this act, more than a decade after it became law, is in line with the Kenya Kwanza administration's promise to the people of Kenya in the bottom-up economic transformation plan to improve governance and expand development in our country. I vividly recall assuring the public benefit organizations sector that the long-awaited implementation of the PBO Act would happen before the end of the year, and now wish to challenge NGOs to embrace transparency in your funding sources as well as expenditure. Your financial records should be an open testament to your integrity and reflect your dedication to ethical practices. We are now in the critical phase of implementation, which requires active participation of the government, development partners, PBOs, and indeed all stakeholders to move swiftly and in the same direction. I would like to assure you of a more coordinated and consultative approach, and that no stakeholder will be left behind in the implementation journey. The PBO Act provides a broader civic space and is arguably one of the most progressive legislations with regard to guaranteeing the freedom of association and assembly as provided for in Article 36 of our Constitution. The law provides a framework for collaboration between the government and PBOs in the development space. In addition, it provides a robust framework for PBO registration and regulation. It enhances transparency, accountability, and efficiency in their operations. By adhering to provisions of this Act, PBOs could enhance their credibility, leading to sustainability of their programs. I urge, therefore, the PBOs to take advantage of the environment created under this legislation to do much more and in a better manner. I also wish to commend the PBO Regulatory Authority for sustaining the NGO Week tradition that provides a platform for the PBO sector to showcase the charitable initiatives they are involved in and create an opportunity for the sector players to interact and learn from each other. By showcasing their projects and activities, the PBOs create opportunities for themselves and ultimately their beneficiaries, because the public will appreciate the good work they continue to do. This will go a long way in attracting support from the public, including individual donations to these organizations, ultimately leading to sustainability of their programs. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to reiterate the government's commitment to providing an enabling environment for PBOs to thrive. The government truly recognizes the important role of the PBO sector in national development. I now declare the NGOs Week 2024 officially open, and I go ahead to launch the NGO Sector Report 2022-2023. Thank you. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think we have the freedom now to continue with our activities. God bless you.
to our chief guest, Mr. Njenga Meiri, Principal Administrative Secretary for Security. Thank you very much for finding the time and accepting this invitation to be here with us. The time has come that we've all been waiting for. We saw the highlights of the sector report presented to us by Madam Kara Nyambura. It is now time for us to now actually enter that space pale kwa kona, but I'm going to be giving us directions on how we're going to be doing that. So I'd like to request our chairman, Honorable Mwambu Mabonga, the chairman of the PBO Regulatory Authority, to guide our chief guest alongside with our stakeholders on the podium to the far left of the stage over there. I would like to ask us to remain seated. Every activity that is going to take place there is going to be projected on our screens so that we can also give the media people good room to take very good pictures. We don't want to have not so good pictures of people shared online. I would also like to request our board of directors of the PBO Regulatory Authority, please would you join our partners. 2022-2023 happening now live at the KICC Aberdare room. Congratulations to the sector for the good work. The launch of the annual NGO Sector Report 2022-2023. Now we have our chairperson of the PBO Regulatory Authority Board handing over the copy of the sector to our chief guest, Mr. Njenga Meiri. Asante sana. And have our chairperson a copy of the annual NGO sector report to our executive director, Tuman Kapnat. We also have the